Some companies, they think that they need to put their logo on everything, and you don't. Just look me in the eyes. You don't need to put your logo on every little single piece of materials. Hi, welcome to my series Graphic Designer Reviews, where I, graphic designer, review packaging design in the natural product space, and we talk about a few things. We talk about packaging design, of course, branding, marketing, and we get into a little bit of marketing psychology here, which is pretty cool. And I basically treat our time as a show and tell, where I show you a cool product and then I give my professional critique or review, because a lot of times, I've been in so many situations where that has not been modeled correctly. And so I just want to come on here and be an example of what good review sounds like, and that does just take experience, and it just takes talking about things. So here I am. Hopefully, if you are in school, if you're doing your undergrad in graphic design, communication design, hopefully this will help you build that vocabulary, so you're not just sitting in a meeting saying I don't like that, or I know it when I'll see it. Please stop that. I'm done being, if I hear that one more time, I am walking out. I don't care where I am. So yeah, if graphic design rants are something that sound interesting to you, subscribe to my channel. No, I'm just kidding. My goal for 2024 is to post a video a week. And speaking of 2024 goals, if you are like me and are like most people, we have all kind of decided together that we are eating healthy this year. We are getting our exercise in. We are taking care of ourselves. And what better product to kick off 2024 than protein powder? So I hit up my local supplement cabinet because I don't need to buy another protein powder. I own one already. This is Hemp Yeah from Manitoba Farms. I got it from Sprouts for about $15. I bought this particular protein powder because it's only one ingredient, and a lot of quote unquote healthy protein powders I've seen list super vague, natural flavors and unnecessary fillers like soy, silicon dioxide, and added sugar. Plus, I like Hemp Yeah because it has extra fiber from the hemp parts. And as you may or may not know, if you're eating a standard American diet, you're not eating enough fiber. So I love using hemp powder in smoothies, pancakes, and bread. But since I'm going gluten-free for the first half of 2024, I'm sticking to smoothies for this filming right now. And it was really good. So thank you, Hemp Yeah. So first of all, before I start the actual review portion, I just want to mention that I'm not gonna really edit it the same way like I had been in the past. Let me know if you liked that actually, but I just want the editing for now, at least, to be just really quick and easy. I'm trying to ease back into video editing while I have a full-time job and while I have weekends packed with stuff. This is my time. So let me know. And also, if you are not familiar with any of the design terms that I use, you could probably Google it first, but if you Google it and you still don't know, leave me a comment. I'm here to help, but also I'm under the assumption that you already know the design basics and that you already have an understanding of kind of the industry and some of the words that I'm about to be using. So I'm just pretending that the review is for the creators of the Hemp Yeah design. That's basically kind of how I'm going to go through this, is I'm pretending that my BFF from the creators of the Hemp Yeah label called me up and were like, hey Karen, we would love some feedback. And I'd be like, heck yeah you would. So I'm scooting over now just in case I put any images here. Starting off with brand, something I like to do is to look up who owns what companies, just to make sure, because you never know what companies like Nestle had bought up or Coca-Cola, and you might really be surprised knowing who owns the brands you love. There is actually a guy on TikTok, I'll link him below. He makes maps of companies and what other companies they own to like make monopolies and all that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting. I'm not ever gonna go that far back. I'm just gonna be like, does Nestle own them? Okay, not buying you. Does Clorox own you? Never mind. It's just something that I like to know. It does influence my purchase. A lot of the time, not that much. Like, I'm not like a super health nut. I just like to know who owns what and if that affects the quality of the products, you know what I mean? So Hemp Yeah was actually acquired in 2019 by Tilray. And from what I saw, Tilray actually does invest in companies similar to Hemp Yeah. I don't know if I can say exactly what they invest in, but I know that it's legal and that it is medicinal, you know, probably legally. And then I link them in the description just for fun if you're interested. So let's get into the manufacturing and container. Like, okay, so I am restarting after like 2 years, 1 year, 2 years. And I'm like, a lot of the things that I had in place when I had stopped recording, I'm like, you know what, actually that was pretty okay. So I'm keeping a lot of the things that I had. Like my intro, I'm like, it was really similar. Like the categories, I don't know what better things to call them. So if you have better ideas on what to call my categories, let me know. This is just one of the things that I need to talk about is the actual container that the label lives on. If you're a graphic designer, I know for me, I took one packaging class because that's all we had at my college, and we did not go into as much depth at all compared to when I actually started working as a packaging designer. So if you don't know any of the words, like if you're trying to look for a jar like this and you have no idea what to look for, I got you. I looked it up because I know some of the words. Kind of guessing, I don't know unless I contact the manufacturer, but if I had to guess, I wrote it down because it's a lot of letters. It looks like a 25-ounce white HDPE, high density high density polyethylene plastic single wall canister with a 120 millimeter double thread neck finish. So that's 2 right there. That looks like a double thread neck. That's why I went with that. So the lid is a white PP plastic ribbed skirt unlined lid. And from what I can see, the jar is a number 2 recyclable and the lid is a number 5 recyclable. So what that means is that the 2 is definitely accepted widely by recycling companies, but the number 5 depends. So can I be honest with you for a second? I feel like recycling is made so confusing on purpose because you have numbers 1 through 7 or something like that of recycling numbers, and some of them aren't even recyclable, but like who knows that, and how do you find that? Like that's not widely taught. So I feel like I'm on an episode of Whose Line Is It Anyway, where everything's made up and the recycling numbers don't matter, and it just like frustrates me because I've seen bins that say trash and recycling, but then it goes into one bin and it all goes to the dump. So it's kind of like, oh, what are you doing? Anyway, so this label is known as the BOP. It's known as a BOP. So BOP stands for biaxially oriented polypropylene. It's made of plastic. It makes it waterproof and really durable. So that makes sense if it's going to be sitting on your counter, if you're dealing with liquids, like this is great. Also, let me know if you'd like me to do a video on helpful packaging design resources. I know a few, I'm sure a lot of you out there know a few. So if you'd want to just like drop your favorites in the comments, I could like compile them. I can just like make my own list, let me know. So one thing that I really like about this label is that there is a gap right here. It's just a gap. They just made the label short so it doesn't go all the way around the jar, but I really like how they did this because there's a lot of labels around that like overlap, and it might not look good because when it goes through the machine, it might not always perfectly align, and that just ruins the experience for me. But that's just a me thing. I'm aware it's just a me thing. So along with knowing what all the materials are, let's synthesize that and put that all together. So like I said, they most likely use a machine to label this big label, but then they most likely hand label the top unless they spend a lot of money on another labeler, which is likely. So quality wise, I do notice that there are bumps under the label that are not air bubbles. That could be from the plastic container itself, but it seems to be smooth right here. It could be dust. I don't know their business, but I don't like packaging acne. And I think the last thing that you really need on a label, well, there's a bunch of stuff you need on a label, but from the manufacturing side, always look for a lot number. Companies need to put, that's like, I think the law, to put a lot number on the package. I have seen like at TJ Maxx and like Ross and stuff, I have seen food products where they don't have a lot number, and that is very scary. So this is great. I will talk about the design of this little area in a few minutes. We will come back to that. Overall, I do think that even with a little air bubble, even with a little label acne, it's acceptable for this particular protein powder's price point especially. I'm not expecting perfection from $16 protein powder, even though like what even is QA for? But again, since this was relatively affordable, I'm not like I don't really super care about that. So in previous videos, I would rate and review on a scale of 1 to 5. I think I might keep doing that. I don't know, everything is up for discussion. I think it's fun because it kind of like, you can't just skip to the end, you have to see what I put. So I think I'm gonna keep it for now, but I don't have as many categories as I did before because a lot of them didn't make sense. So I guess I'll just keep doing that though. So I'm gonna give manufacturing and container a 3. Moving on. Now we get to the good stuff. We get to the design portion of this video. Just a reminder, my video as a whole is to show how to give a good review. I'm pretending I'm in a little critique session, and this is kind of what I would say. This is how I would verbalize my decisions for saying the things that I'm saying. The cool thing, what I love about packaging design, is that it is a living design in a way, because there's always updates to be made. I would know, I worked on labels and I had to make updates all the time in different languages, and it was hard, but I understand, I can understand like how it works, and that like it's not serious at all. So if you're like, oh well, she said that and like they can't go fix that label, labels are fixed all the time. So by me critiquing it, I don't even know if it's going to be seen by anyone who can change anything, but that's not the point. The point is to verbalize your reasoning for why you like or don't like a particular design choice or design element or anything like that. So design, let's start it off. Firstly, I thought this would be an easy design review because look at this label. It is just, honestly, she is very gorgeous to me. And I thought it'd be easy, but here we are with 4 pages of script to go. So something that I really like to do is to figure out who the heck designed this, because I want to know what other work they do to be inspired, and I'm nosy. This brand, the whole brand project was created by Imagehaus, which is an agency located in Minnesota. And I think that's pretty cool. This is a Canadian product, but they chose an American agency to brand their product, which cool beans. So I link them below. Feel free to check them out if you're looking for extra inspiration. So let's just start with the whole thing. I completely love the color scheme, obviously. I love the use of the extra label on the top. It's like for extra recipes. And I love that it's branded without looking branded. Some companies, they think that they need to put their logo on everything, and you don't. Just look me in the eyes. You don't need to put your logo on every little single piece of materials. I love this label. I love that this band goes all the way around. So nice. I love that it has, like, this is a good use of space for the icons that we'll talk about. I love that all the content, all the copy is aligned very neatly. Manitoba Farms paid a lot of money for this to be made. But yeah, like right here, aligned. Here, aligned. All of this aligned. It might be a little bright, but if I turn the light off, then it'll be too dark. And I really appreciate that they watched their margins. Basically, the edges of the label can get cut off very easily in the label making process. So you'd be surprised. A lot of companies don't watch their margins. And when I say margins, it's like this space right here. That's a good space. This space right here, it's the same. No, not there. But like around the bottom, like if there is a space to be had, it is equidistant from the ends of the label. So little nitpicky thing that I appreciate. I love the pattern across the top, and I love the color blocking. It's so nice. I like compartmentalized design, as you can probably tell from me explaining all of this. But that's just my preference. That's not like, as long as it makes sense, it's not like I need everything to look like this. This is just what makes sense for this particular label. The one thing that I will say about this pattern is that when you look at the back, I wish that they kept going in the same direction. You can see right here, they go two different directions. It makes sense when you go all the way around, but when you get back to the middle, it looks off. And to have it just be consistent throughout, that would just like chef's kiss, perfection. So like, I was an in-house designer, but since the company who created this is an agency, I can understand like how they might have missed this, because when you're designing stuff, you rarely see the end product. It just like goes to the store and then you never see it again. So I understand, like, maybe like you might see it flat, like the printer company will send you a label and you'll see it flat and you'll be like, cool, let me sign off on the proof. But like, you'll never see it like this, or you might. And then that qualifies for a version change if you want. But yeah, seeing the finished product is super important, and I will get to that later because I have another thing to say about something on here. Let's keep going with the front of the label. I probably have a picture of it that I'll put here, but I'm also gonna look at it right here as I talk. So on the front, we have the main brand logo, and then we have the sub-brand logo, Hemp Yeah, with other yellow and black and white elements. From my professional perspective, the hierarchy is kind of all over the place, and that isn't great because my eye's jumping from one element to another, when the best possible case would be how we normally read, which is left to right, and then up and down. So what I'm seeing after Hemp Yeah is unsweetened, and then I'm just like, I don't even know what you are. I know you're unsweetened, but that's about it right now. And like, I know it's unsweetened way before I know it's a protein powder, and I think that is just like not great to me. If I could rearrange it, it would be Hemp Yeah, unsweetened, protein powder. But I do read the Hemp Yeah first because it's huge. Like, how could you not? But then along with the Hemp Yeah, I do really love this logo that they made. The counters here are hemp hearts, and I love that they like sprinkle little hemp hearts around it. I love that Hemp Yeah is like super cheeky, and everything about it is really fun. And I'm just like, yeah, I want to have fun. I want to buy this and have fun. Let me keep going with the fun. So let me describe the fun for you. So Hemp Yeah, everything is the same X height here. Everything's the same X height. So the capital H, the capital Y is the same X height as the lowercase letters. And lowercase, they're more round. And round means more fun. So you're having more fun when you look at this. I love that the P and the H are connected. Sometimes good design is just that easy. It just makes sense. Like, you don't have to turn your gears on hours of design. You just need to connect two letters and be done with it, you know? The only thing though about this word logo mark is that when it gets smaller, you can't even tell that the counters are hemp hearts. So they put the logo again here, just in case you forgot what it was on the back. But like, you can't even tell that those are hemp hearts. And I think that's really important that detail is lost. So that is a reminder, if you're designing logos for packaging or business cards or whatever, double check, make sure you see it small, make sure you see it black, make sure you see it white, make sure you see it color, small, zoom out, shrink it, make it big, make sure all of your Bezier curves are correct and smooth. Just some free tips. There are a few more things I wanted to mention before moving on. So number one, do we really need two logos on the front? So we have Manitoba Farms, which is the owner of Hemp Yeah. They own like 4 other product categories, like granola and oil, stuff like that. But Hemp Yeah on their website is really like its own brand, kind of. So I understand why the design looks like this, because if we took off this logo at the top, then the design, this would be a completely different design. So I understand why it looks like this. I just don't know that the seal needs to be here. I'm sure the company was like, we need both seals right at the front. Even though we mention it a couple times on the back, we need it. So I get it. I also didn't love that the non-GMO verified logo is up top. You typically see it at the bottom, but I understand there's no room at the bottom. You need it on the front of the label for customers to see it, because I don't know if you knew this, but this isn't a certification technically. This is a verification. They're different. And they said on their own website that you can see a 20% increase of sales just by having this little butterfly on the front. So it's a smart move. It's a smart marketing move, but I wish it was at the bottom because it's not that important, and it's just like distracting me from the flow of reading this label. It's just a me thing. Okay, a few nitpicky things. I don't like that this bullet point is black. It just takes it unnecessarily pulls my eye there. It doesn't need to. It could just be white. And lastly, I don't love that the circle at the bottom is a different color and smaller than the 2 right above. I get it, like omega-3s and 6s aren't as important as protein and fiber, but actually, like for this product, I think it is. Like right here, you're visibly showing me that this is not as important as these two, but I think you're wrong. The omega-3 and 6 content in hemp hearts is actually really high for a plant-based product, and it's also in the right ratio. So you need omega-3s and 6s to be in the correct ratio for it to be effective in the body, because omega-3s mostly and 6s help maintain healthy metabolism and healthy cholesterol levels. Like, that is super important in a protein powder. And so for my advice right here, I just wish they were all the same color and that they were all this size so that it could fit better, because of a few reasons down the line. So I will mention that later. Next panel, the nutrition facts. Their nutrition facts panel is superb. So as you can see, we get to the social media at the bottom, but there's no handle. So I had to Google it, and the handle, or the social, is actually Manitoba Harvest. And I'm not their marketing director, but if I was, I would have scooped up at Hemp Yeah and used it for the Hemp Yeah dedicated products. There is the protein powder and the granola. So keep it separate from Manitoba Harvest, but link them together so you know that they're associated. I'm not gonna get into it. Manitoba Harvest, if you wanna talk to me, you know where to find me. Moving on. Next to the nutritional facts panel, we have the ingredients and the manufactured by. So what I wish they had here was a directions. Well, I wish they had a scoop, and then I wish they put directions on the label for something that I will get to. I'm leaving a lot of bookmarks right now, but it will all come together soon, I promise. So we got to here now. I really like this. Let me see if I can make it a little darker. I didn't know I could do that. Okay. That is so much better right here. Okay, we have these right here. First off, did you know that graphic designers can design anything? Like, some of these aren't even official icons. They're just something they made up because why not, you know? The only thing on here that is actually legit is the certified B Corporation icon. So that is awesome. That took a lot to get. The company I used to work for, they were looking through it and seeing if that's something that they really wanted to do. And there's like a lot. There's a lot you need to become a B certified company. So congrats, this is really awesome. I'm looking at like the top 2, those are actually just something they made up because of course it's vegan, and of course, not of course, but like they're made with 100% wind energy, which is really cool. Like, it's a really cool call out. And that's something I didn't know just by looking at this label otherwise. So it's nice that they have it here, but it's not like a USDA certified organic logo, you know what I mean? So the number 2 is just the how to recycle the jar. But as I said earlier, the lid is actually number 5, so I don't know what good that does. And then lastly, Pareve. I've never seen this before on a label. Maybe I'm just not very observant. Basically, it means that it's made without meat or dairy. Basically, it's like kosher, but without the blessing of the rabbi. I'm always a sucker for a creative barcode. I know this one is normal, but I am always going to promote more whimsy in the mundane. And as long as the barcode is scannable, it can be designed in some way. So that is also another good video idea. I'm just coming up with a bunch of them today, aren't I? I always advocate for a fun barcode. Here, the only thing I can think of is that, like, if they just like they made it everything like scooch in a little more so it's not super close to the top and the bottom. That's about it. I do like that the rectangle above is the same size as the rectangle below. That's really nice and consistent. Below is actually, I think this is their lot number. So this is where the manufacturing facility that puts the powder in the jar, they have to timestamp when they did it for a bunch of reasons, for health reasons, for legal reasons, also another cool video idea. Anyway, that's right here. So like I mentioned before, remember that bookmark before where like designers don't get to see their finished product? That is evident here because they put the packaged on number and best by number right next to each other when the designer intended it to be a little more spaced out. So that's like, I don't know the word. I'm here to communicate and I can't find the words to say. So that's a little bit of real life, like what you see versus what's being actually used. So in another version, in a future version, maybe the designer spaces them out so the manufacturing facility can appropriately put their, like what they, like how they want it. I've never seen a lot number like this before. It has the package date and then its best by date, which I've like never seen a lot number like that before. It's usually just like a bunch of numbers and letters. But you know, I don't know, maybe it's a Canadian thing. Also, I noticed there's a blue dot. A lot of us look at it and be like, okay. But what I think this is the version control number for the label. So like I said, label design like is ever changing. You have to document what revision this label is. And that just gets everyone on the same page, from the company to the design agency to the manufacturing facility to the printer. So that's what I think this is. It's just my thoughts. I just look for it every time I see a label to see like, oh, did they actually put it on here? Because some do, some don't. It's best if you do. Most people don't know what that means, but I know and you know now. So look at us. We have new knowledge about packaging design. I'm not done yet. Last panel is this cute little recipe for a smoothie that's not what I made earlier. I made whatever I had in my freezer. I don't know. But it was nice. They kept it plant-based. I love how everything's aligned like I'd mentioned before. Something here, they reiterate a lot of things that we've already seen around. That could be like helping you make a product purchase, but something that I don't completely understand as a reviewer is that this is the first time we're seeing these lines, like these light, why am I doing that? These light yellow, or these, it's a dark yellow line. It's the first time we're seeing that on this label, and it's not repeated anywhere else. I guess that's okay, because there are some things that we don't see everywhere else, but for me, I'm just like, it feels a little weird, but like maybe it would have made more sense to be just a solid dark yellow rectangle rather than the lines. And then something else is that the way the circles of these icons peak above the line is not very consistent to the front of the label, which I don't know if I told you to remember that for later, but that's something that I didn't like, is that this peaks out a little more than these back icons. That's just a thing that you can easily fix. And that's why I said that, like, if you made the circles on the front smaller, you'd be able to achieve that same proportional distance. If you want. I really do think also that these circles could be the same size. You got a lot of room right here. Lastly, for the design portion, the reason why, here we go, back to the directions. The reason why I wish they had a directions is because that is where I would look to see this very important little piece of information: refrigerate after opening. I have not been refrigerating this, and I bought this like 4 months ago, so I don't know if this is still good. I'm still using it. I don't taste anything different. I don't notice anything different, so I'm still gonna use it, but I didn't know this. And I could barely read it because it's white on yellow and it's small. So it's something that I just didn't care to look at because I thought it was like a tagline to the logo, because you put the logo here again. So please, if you redo this label, please add directions here. Add a scoop. I know it's extra cost. I'll pay an extra $1 for a scoop and something to tell me how to properly store this, because I don't know if this is bad now. So I'm giving this design a 3 out of 5 as well. I didn't even get, well, I got to that. So, okay, content. Okay, let's just look at it real quick. Most of it like made complete sense. I do love that they didn't feel the need to completely pack the label with information. A lot of companies like to kitchen sink their labels with just like every little piece of information they can possibly put. Like I mentioned earlier, the order of information on the front of the label, I'm not vibing with. It does not make sense to me. It's easily rearrangeable, but I mean, I can see like visually, it looks pretty cool. But if I'm reading it, if I'm a regular person reading this, I'm like my eyes just bouncing all over this label, and I'm just like, just don't make me think. Just, I want to look at this how I normally read, left, right, up, down, and just live in peace. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm working a lot to read the front of this label, and I don't think I needed to. One little tiny thing that I mentioned is at the bottom here, it says per 30 grams serving, and that is giving me pause. I don't really like how that's worded. I don't know if that's correct. It could be Canadian. I'm not Canadian, if you could guess that right now. So I'm wondering if it should say 30 grams per serving or per 30 gram servings. That one doesn't make sense. So 30 grams per serving would probably make more sense. I don't know. I did notice they mentioned it again right there on the side, and it just says per 30G. So I don't know why there's an inconsistency there, especially when it's twice labeled. I think that you just need it once. What else? I mean, I think a few things are repeated across the label, but I understand, like, if I'm shopping, I'm seeing this for the first time, I'm scanning, I'm not really reading much. I'm seeing the icons, great content. I'm seeing a few things are repeated, but maybe I didn't see it the first time. Maybe I'm seeing it for the first time on a different part of the label. That makes sense. That's fine. I'm going to give this 3 out of 5 as well, because some of it was I feel like it was unnecessarily, even though they did a great job of cutting content. I'm sure the marketers and the marketing director and the whoever else was involved like spent a lot of time figuring out just what was essential for this label. So kudos to them. I stand by my number. So drum roll please, we have a total of 9 out of 15, which is a D-. Like I said, I thought this review was going to be easy, and I do believe that just a few simple edits will take this label from good to great. So yeah, that was Hemp Yeah. Let me know if you agree in the comments. Thank you so much for watching my first review in a while. I know I used to have more categories, like does it work or EWG, but I think I'm just gonna stick with these 4 because they really focus in on the design itself and like where the inspiration, where the product even came from. But let me know your thoughts. Yeah. And also let me know, like, have you tried hemp protein powder? Did you like it? Did you like that flavor? I don't know. I got unsweetened, but they have like chocolate and vanilla and all those kinds of flavors. And also let me know what product you think I should talk about next. Right now, I'm just focusing on walking around my home and finding products that I want to talk about. But if you have any suggestions or if you're interested in anything, let me know. And especially if it's $20 or under, like, who am I to say no to a little treat? So as always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one.